Hey, new picklers, in response to our last video on the non-volley zone rule, where we clarified the rule and explained it, we got a lot of questions about the momentum part of that rule. In other words, how the momentum aspect of the non-volley zone rule works. In this video, I'm going to clarify it. I'm going to explain that in a little more depth. So if you have questions about the momentum part of the non-volley zone rule, stay tuned.
We're going to look at several different shots, different momentum violations in a moment. First, I want to set up the volley, the pieces of a volley. I want to thank Pro Pickleball for the use of this video content. If you want to check out some really good matches, go to Pro Pickleball on YouTube, subscribe to their channel. Really good content, pro matches. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at this volley here by Andrea Coop in a second. We're going to break it down. So there's three parts to the volley. There's the pre-volley. That's concerned with the establishment rule. We're not covering that in this video. Then there's the volley proper. This is what we generally think about when we talk about the non-volley zone. Basically, if you hit the ball during the volley inside the non-volley zone, it's a fault. And then we have post-volley. That's the momentum rule, and that's what we're going to focus on in this video. So we're going to look at the last part of the complete volley. So here we can see I'm up at the non-volley zone line or near it. Pre-volley, that's the establishment rule. Here I step into the volley, the non-volley zone during the volley proper. So that's a clear violation of the non-volley zone rule. No one would question that. Where it gets a little trickier is when you talk about the momentum rule. On this next one, you can see that during the volley, I'm outside the non-volley zone, so I'm not violating any rules. But then my momentum carries me into the non-volley zone. That's the momentum rules. What it does is it captures all aspects of the volley and tries to make sure that you're not inside the non-volley zone at the time of the volley. If it wasn't for that, you'd be able to do something like this. You could jump, hit the ball, and then land inside the non-volley zone. Because of the momentum rule, that's a violation, and it's a fault. So here we're going to see a few more examples of basically where I'm hitting the ball outside of the non-volley zone, and then I'm stepping into the non-volley zone because my momentum is carrying me into the non-volley zone. That's the key to the momentum rule, is basically as I hit the volley outside of the non-volley zone, does the momentum of the shot carry me forward into the non-volley zone as part of it? If you run it without pausing, it's pretty obvious that momentum carried me forward there into the non-volley zone, and it's a violation or a fault of the non-volley zone rule to do that. So what the momentum rule is trying to do is it's trying to make sure that situations like this one where I step into the non-volley zone that are simple are also covered by the rule when I do something like this, where I basically fall into the non-volley zone after I hit my volley, but as part of the volley. In this next one, what you're going to see I establish my position after the volley. So my post-volley, I've reestablished myself in the post-volley situation. When I step into the non-volley zone afterwards, it is not a violation of the non-volley zone rule because my momentum did not carry me in. Let's look at that again. So here you can see that I regain my momentum, and then I step into the non-volley zone. There's simply no violation for doing that, and no fault is committed in these situations. Let me show you a couple where it's a little bit less clear, like this one here. Did I regain my balance before I stepped into the non-volley zone or not? That's a question. The next one is similarly, it's kind of questionable. It's kind of gray as to whether I reestablished before I stepped into the non-volley zone. That's why it's really important to be, you know, an honest sailor, if you will, and call it on yourself if your momentum carries you up into the non-volley zone as part of the volley. This one here is pretty clear. See the foot drag there? I'm falling into the non-volley zone, so the momentum carried me in. We'll look at another one that I think is pretty clear here, where I basically hit the ball, and you can see that I never really reestablish. I fall forward into the non-volley zone, committing a fault. This next one is not a fault, so you'll see that I hit. I have complete control of my momentum or my body after I hit the volley. Then I step into the non-volley zone. That is not a fault. Let's look at one more that's a pretty clear fault. So I hit the volley outside and I fall in. Let's take a look at a point from Nationals. This is a good doubles match. I believe it's a 4.5, 60 or 65 and over match. Solid match. You'll see a really nice point develop here. And then at the end, what happens is there's a pop-up. The player on the right comes across to put it away. After she hits the ball, she lands on the non-volley zone line. That's a fault. Hope this video has been helpful in explaining the momentum rule to you. Subscribe below for more content, and stay safe out there.